Ready.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We hope you've enjoyed our earlier sessions, whether you joined us live or whether you watched the recordings on our group page. We also want to let you know we're now posting our sessions on YouTube. You can find them by searching for our group name or the session title. We also want to thank everyone who posts to our page. We encourage each of you to post your experiences or the feelings you have as you capture your family history. For those of you who are new, my name is Mark Nye. My wife Shelley and I live in Marple Township, Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm glad to be with you today. I'm going to be addressing our topic, which is finding the unique identity of each individual person. There are 5 main factors that Family Tree uses to establish identity. We will discuss those, and then I will go to Family Tree Live to show you how those are reflected in FamilySearch.org. To start, let me share my screen with you. There we go. Can you see that, Mark?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay. So, a relationship to another family member is the most conclusive evidence of identity. This has been made very popular in the past several years with the technology of DNA testing. Who you are related to may also be documented with a paper trail. This is the method that Family Tree uses due to the worldwide interconnectivity of Family Tree. After we've discussed these 5 main factors, then I'll show you how to see them in Family Tree. Okay, the 5 factors are: number 1 is gender. Number 2, 3, and 4 include a name, a date, and a location of a personal life event. Examples of life events could include a birth, a marriage, a death, or a burial, for example. Number 5 includes one or more family relationships in the family member section on a person's page. To identify names, names can include only a surname. They might be a full birth name, nicknames, or married names. Additional names can be added under the other information on the person page, as well as other kinds of information. We recommend on the person page using the birth name of the individual. Date and location. These are located under the vital section on a person page. A date may also be very specific with a day, a month, and a year, or it could be an estimate. For example, it might say, in quotes, about 1880. Locations can be very specific with a town, county, state, and a country, or they may be listed with just the country where the life event occurred. Birth, death, and burial information are listed and edited on the details section of a person page in the Vitals section. Note that you may close and open the Vitals section with the arrow on the left. A family relationship connects you with another person or persons in a very specific way. You may have only one relationship reflected on Family Tree, or you might have several. A person is listed as an adult on the left side of the column under the Family Members section, and he is listed on the right side as a child. Family Tree has the capacity to allow multiple children, parents, and spouses, so you don't have to worry about having enough space to show everything that you want to show. It's better to add more information and more details than not enough. To show this example, I want to talk about for an illustration, I want to talk about this picture that I found in my father's picture album. It was unidentified. I'd never seen it before. My parents had passed away, and I had no idea how I was going to identify this person. So I decided to use the 5 factors. To begin with, I looked at the picture and thought, number 1, easy. He's obviously a male, so I had the gender down. The next one was to find a location. To determine that location, I can see that very clearly that the picture was taken at Crystal Portrait Company in Salt Lake. I had previously talked with a third cousin's father who was living in Delaware, and so I called him again and asked him about my dad's family. He said that the man appears to be about in his early 20s, which I agreed with, and so therefore the postcard is probably a missionary postcard. Missionaries for our church used to travel from their home to Salt Lake City, and then they would be sent from there to serve a mission. Since the postcard style photos were very inexpensive and they could buy them in groups, they were sent out to their friends and family before they left to serve their mission. My cousin's father suggested Idaho would be a good location to start searching due to many family homesteads that were located there. So estimating a date, I talked to my good friend and Family History Center consultant and staff member, Sharon. She looked at the photo and identified the tie he was wearing as being worn about 1890 to 1910. That would have been in style during that time period. And since he looks to be in his early 20s, that would make his birth year somewhere between 1870 and 1890. So now I have a gender, an estimated birth day, and a probable location in Idaho. So then once I remove the photo from the photo album, on the back of the photo is some very faint writing. It is written on a postcard style with an address, and the address says, to Lottie Wynn, Vernal, Uinta, Utah. I was born in Vernal. It isn't a very big town, and it still isn't a very big town. In fact, you could probably just write a person's name and Vernal, Utah on it, and it would get to the right person. I know that my great-grandmother lived in Vernal and was called Lottie. Her name was Charlotta Geneva Fluitt Wynn. Since this address has her married name, I now know the card was sent when my great-grandmother was already married and had moved from Idaho to Utah. The details on her person page confirm that she could have received the card in Vernal around 1900. It also means that the sender was probably not from the Uinta Basin, but was probably coming from Idaho. There was also a short message on the back. It says, Lottie, I am 21 on the 6th day of November. Alonzo Handy. Now I have an exact name and a day and a month. So I have a gender, a name, a day and a month with a probable year and a probable location. The thing that I'm missing is a relationship. I have no idea how Alonzo and Lottie are connected. So I'm going to go to FamilySearch, Family Tree to find out more. So I go to the website and you can see there with the red circle, I'm going to click on Find. What comes up when I do that is I'm going to fill in the information that I have. I have his name, Alonzo Handy, there in the black box. I have that he's male. I put the birth as Idaho, and I give a range for his birth, 1870 to 1890. Then I click Find and see what happens. I was so excited. The very first search results were him. Here's Alonzo Handy. In fact, his name's Alonzo Hazelton Handy, and his birth says 6 November 1879, born in Franklin County, Idaho, United States. Gives a lot more information, so I'm excited to see, do they have the photo of him or not, or am I the only one who has it? Well, I checked, and it's not listed on his page. If a family member has it or had it, they did not include it. So I added the photo. You can see I put a big black outline around it to see it. Now I get to see how I'm related to Alonzo Handy and what connection he had between my great-grandmother, Lottie. So I click View Relationships, which is on the right upper side. And here you have it right here. Alonzo and Lottie have the same mother as Mary Ann Day. She's my second great-grandmother. And they have different fathers, and so they are half siblings. Mary Ann's first husband was my second great-grandfather, William Fluitt. Lottie was one of their daughters. After he died, Mary Ann was still very young, and she married William Handy and had 9 more children, one of whom was Alonzo. Lottie was 16 years old when her half-brother, Alonzo, was born. 2 months later, she married John Wynn. She lived nearby, however, lived near her family until Alonzo was about 8 years old, and then she moved to Vernal. Mary Ann, her mother, had 13 biological children and was a guardianship of another child. So I expect that childcare was shared among several family members who lived nearby. We're going to the FamilySearch website now so I can show you about adding and changing relationships in Family Tree. Change sharing my screen here to FamilySearch. Now we have Alonzo's page. Notice the blue edit links right there under his details section. If I wanted to edit anything, I would click on these variety of edit links right here and be able to make changes to those. Those are already pre-filled in, and so notice that I have standardized a couple of things just to make them totally clear. And so now I'm going to scroll to the bottom of Alonzo's page, down to the family section. Right here, it's the family section, and you can see Alonzo is listed as a father on the left side, and if I scroll a little bit farther here, he's listed as a child on the right side under his parents William Handy and Mary Ann Day. So as I continue to look farther down, I see another child listed, David E. Handy. He's right here. And notice here that he was listed like he's another child of William and Mary, but it actually says that he has a guardianship relationship with the mother and a guardian relationship with the father. So I want to go to his page to show you how these relationships are coded in. So I click right here on, let me scroll back down and click that again. I click that and David Handy comes up. I'm going to click on his name, and now I'm on David's page. So I'm going to scroll down to his family member view, and notice here that he has William Handy and Mary Ann Day listed as one set of parents. I continue to scroll down because we know they were guardians. He also is listed under George Wilson Sprent and Elsie Catherine Handy. He's listed as the first child of them. But notice underneath there it's listed as a stepfather, but it doesn't list his relationship with his mother. We're going to continue scrolling down, and here's another set of parents. David E. Handy is also listed under Brigham Simmons and Elsie Catherine Handy. Notice there is nothing listed according to his relationship to them. The reason that is that its default, FamilySearch has a default to biological. And so it would not list it, even though it might be coded in that way. So let me show you exactly how that happens. Notice this this black edit pencil right to the right side of David's name. I'm going to click on that. When I do, it will bring up a pop-up window. You can see that it's going to allow me to change the parent-child relationship. So I see George Wilson Sprent at the top, then I see Elsie Catherine Handy, and I see David listed as their child. If one of these was incorrect, I could remove and replace it. If I remove David, then it would remove him from both of the parents. If I just wanted to remove the mother or the father, I could just click on that. But notice someone has put in a relationship here as a step. And the way that they got that coded in there was to click this edit button. So when I click that edit button, it is now reflecting step. And if I click the little arrows to the right, it gives me 5 possible relationships. The top one's adoptive, the second one's biological, the next one's foster, and then guardianship and step. So that means that his mother really was Elsie, and his father George was actually a stepfather. Now there's a reason that it is listed there, and their reason is listed right there, but I also want to show you that they put this relationship here right under George's page. So I'm going to click more, and it says David E. is the child of Elsie Catherine Handy, a daughter of William and Mary Ann. Now notice, remember that David was also listed as a guardianship under William and Mary Ann, meaning that he was living with his grandparents. David was born out of wedlock and was raised by his grandparents until Elsie married. David was later adopted by his stepfather, George Wilson Sprent. So that little fact that they put in there, that reason, was so helpful. This is a critical time to add a reason. As you change that relationship, it's good to add what kind of relationship it is, and also the date, some facts, and anything else that you know about it. Notice there's still an opportunity to add a relationship. So if I click this, here I'm back to the original pop-up window I had, and I could click adoptive and put that relationship in there and then add my reason. I don't actually have personal knowledge that he was adopted, and the individual who put this information is listed right here, Linda Clark R. And I could email her, I could click on her name, I could send her a message through the system and get more information. Since I'm not a close relative, I'm going to leave this at this. However, I did, and not add the additional adoptive relationship, but since I was curious, I did look at the census records. David lived with his grandparents clear until the time he served a mission for our church and then till he got married. I'm sure that he was a big support to his grandparents. So on the census record, Elsie also had several other children with George, and he actually did not live with them. So that's the way that you can actually change and edit that relationship and get it in that little box right there where it says stepfather or guardianship right there under his grandparents. One other thing I want to point out here is that under scroll up here just a moment. Okay, there's a little circle right here that says preferred, and it's blue with a check mark. That can be unclicked by checking another one. For example, if I came back here and clicked preferred under George and Elsie, then this would be unchecked. So if I check it back again, that means that when I click family tree, and I'm going to view David's family tree, I'm going to see his heritage as being through William Handy and Mary Ann Day. Now just think if this were a situation where you have an adoptive child and they want to view their biological heritage, you can just check mark that as your preferred to view that in the tree, and then you could go and check adoptive and you could view your adoptive line heritage. This is easily check marked back and forth. It doesn't change any data, it doesn't delete anything, it's simply for viewing purposes only. So that allows you to identify when you're clicking it on the view tree which ancestors you're going to look at. So I want to show you just a couple other things here. Notice right here that there is a marriage situation where you have a box around a couple, and there's also another edit pencil. Edit pencils are the only way you can alter relationships or where you can add information into the box. Just like this was a box right here for him with an edit pencil, this is a box with an edit pencil. So I'm going to click on that and show you what comes up. Number one is talking about a couple relationship here at the top. They have a husband, George Wilson Sprint, and a wife, Elsie Catherine Handy. If one of those was incorrect, I could remove one of those. And no one's listed a reason. They just probably have attached source information on their pages to show that there was a marriage. But notice right here on the relationships, the marriage is the 3rd of October, 1892, Ogden, Weber, Utah, United States. If I felt like that wasn't correct, I could click the edit button and also correct it. I want to make a note that many times you will see several dates of a marriage. You'll see the date that they went to the courthouse and applied to get married, so that application will have a specific date on it. Then you will actually probably see a date they actually got married, the day that they actually did marry. Another date that can happen is that paperwork, that official paperwork is taken back to the courthouse and it's recorded. When you have that, that's going to be on another date. So you can easily have 3 dates associated with a marriage. But you can have more than a marriage. This one actually does have a source attached right here, so I can see that there. I can add another marriage event. Now, when you open it, it's going to default to marriage, but there's a little drop-down window over here, and it gives me a possible option. What if this couple got divorced? You can list that as an option, or if they just lived together and they never got married, you can list that. You can also list a common law marriage, which has very specific rules associated with it, or you can have an annulment. So you can add more than one type of marriage events which is showing that relationship couple. You can have just one or you can have several. So I'm going to click cancel on that. Okay, so that allows me also, just a very bottom note here, I can delete the relationship altogether if it's been added incorrectly. And sometimes this happens when you're adding people. You'll think, oh, I have the wife married to her grandfather, not her husband or whatever. Sometimes you can make mistakes. There's always a way to correct that. Okay, I'm going to click back here, so that clicks off. There's just a couple more things here I wanted to show you, and that is how you add additional people. So notice I am on David's page. If he had married twice, I could add a spouse right here, and that would give me another box with him and another spouse. I could add another child if they had had an additional child that I discovered through additional records. Or I may find an additional child, but I don't know who the mother is conclusively. It may not list the mother specifically. I can add a child with an unknown mother. So now remember, if you have a child and you don't know the father, then I have to be on Zena's page because she would be the mother then, and it would give me the option to add a child with an unknown father. Over here on the right side, this is where you can add additional parents. So if David had had another set of parents that he identified with, I could add another set of parents right there. If William and Mary here had had another child, I can add another child. Or that's true with any couple relationship, I can add another child. So that gives you all the ways to add people into that family relationship. It also gives you the way that you can edit and alter the relationships. Remember that to actually change a relationship, you have to have an edit pencil. So if I want to change my relationship with David, with his parents, I'm going to have to go to where he's listed as a child. If I want to change and alter his relationship with a spouse, I need to go where he's listed as an adult and click on that edit pencil. So I hope this was helpful and hope you think about those 5 ways of identity. You have to have a gender and then a name, date, and a place about a life event. And then you also have to have at least one family relationship. That allows you to put them successfully in Family Tree. It was great to be with you today, and I'll turn the time back to Mark.
Thank you, Shelley, for sharing those interesting examples and instructions about how to capture the uniqueness of each person in Family Tree. It reinforces the reality that no two people are exactly alike. Because we believe that each of us is a beloved spirit, son or daughter of heavenly parents, we appreciate the fact we carry our uniqueness not only in this mortal life, but into the eternities ahead. You might recall the account in the Old Testament where the Lord calls the boy Samuel to be a prophet. In that experience, the Lord specifically called Samuel by name. I personally believe that God knows each of us by name. What a blessing it is to participate in capturing and documenting all that we know about the unique individuals in our families, immediate and extended, in FamilySearch. Our posterity will be grateful for all that we do. Please join us on Thursday for our next session, How Many Ways Can I View My Family Tree? We hope you have a great week. Thanks.
We're going to add in a fun game too, so don't miss it.